Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And before I get started, I want to wish you, as well as your family, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We're about a few hours away from Christmas Day, and the New Orleans Saints have a big Week 16 matchup versus, well, a bit of rival, the Minnesota Vikings. It's no surprise to any Saints fans out there. The Minnesota Vikings have been a thorn in the side of the New Orleans Saints, and they have been spoilers to the New Orleans Saints over the past couple of years. And now the New Orleans Saints, for the first time, have the Minnesota Vikings at home. I mean, every time it seems like the New Orleans Saints play the Minnesota Vikings, it's always seemed to be playing in their stadium, even though the wild card game was in the Superdome. Minnesota Vikings, they're a really good football team, man. I know their record doesn't indicate that they are a good football team, but they're extremely talented, and they're constructed to beat teams like the New Orleans Saints, and they have, man. And, you know, Mike Zimmer, who is the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, he's friends with Sean Payton. They served on the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff. Sean Payton was the offensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer was the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, and they served under Bill Parcells. And there's this, you know, this competitive friendship that they have, man. And Mike Zimmer seems to have Sean Payton's number. And, you know, the New Orleans Saints in this game, they got to get it done. You know, Week 16, you know, as we get closer to the playoffs, they still haven't sealed up the NFC South just yet. They need to win this game in order for them to win the you know, the New Orleans Saints got to go ahead and get it done. They can't be lollygagging and pussyfooting around and just, you know, trying to win the NFC South in Week 17 over a powerful Carolina Panthers team, because, you know, they're going to try everything they can because they don't want to be the team, you know, that made the Saints run the gauntlet. You know, the Saints have swept the Bucks. The Saints have swept the Falcons. And now it looks like the Saints are on a collision course to possibly sweep the Carolina Panthers, and you know they won't be trying to have any of that. But this Minnesota Vikings game, I mean, this does tend to pose a threat to the New Orleans Saints, especially quarterback Kirk Cousins, man. Kirk Cousins, you can say what you want to say about him, but he is really good when it comes to the play action. And I'm mentioning play action because of Dalvin Cook. The last time the Saints played Dalvin Cook had his way. In the first half, Dalvin Cook almost had 100 yards. The Saints kind of neutralized him in the second half. But Dalvin Cook has been on another level. I know a lot of people haven't been talking about Dalvin Cook because of the Vikings record, but he has arguably been one of the best running backs in football, and this guy can't get his yard. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run in between the tackles, and you never know when he's going to spring and run for a big, long game. So the Saints, number one, are going to have to neutralize Dalvin Cook. And when you neutralize Dalvin Cook, it sets up, you know what I'm saying, the play action if you don't, right? So if the Saints shut him down, then you cut off the play action. So the Saints have to cut off that play action, man, so they got to neutralize Dalvin Cook. Another thing they're going to have to do, man, look, Adam Thielen has dominated Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, we just got to call a spade a spade. Adam Thielen has had Marshawn Lattimore's number. Marshawn Lattimore has to go out there and has to go up against Adam Thielen. He got to go out there and put on his best performance, man, because, you know, Adam Thielen always seems to be open, man. He's a crisp route runner. He has really good hands, and he's one of those guys, man, that can win those 50-50 balls despite the fact that he's not the most physically imposing wide receiver that you have out here in the National Football League. And, you know, Marshawn Lattimore, as good as he's been over the past couple of years, he tend to struggle with much smaller guys. He does really well with those guys that are about 6'4", 6'5". He's able to kind of, you know, push them, kind of, you know what I'm saying, like fight with them. But when it comes to those small, shifty receivers, it's kind of hard for him to try to get that matchup, you know, because it seems like those wide receivers always get the best of them. But he definitely got to make sure that he's out there, man, you know, doing his best to try to shut down and neutralize Adam Thielen. Another person, you know, which a lot of people are familiar with, especially if you are a fan of LSU, it's Justin Jefferson, man. Arguably the offensive player of the year. Depends on if you like Justin Herbert or not. But Justin Jefferson has been a godsend to the Minnesota Vikings. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. They allowed him to go, and he went to the Buffalo Bills, and he's having an incredible season in his own right. But Justin Jefferson is making Minnesota Viking fans not miss Stephon Diggs. This guy's a crisp route running. He has really good hands, and he's very confident in himself. So this is going to pose a threat to Janoris Jenkins, which I feel like Janoris can win this matchup because Janoris Jenkins kind of does better in certain things that Marshawn Lattimore does not. The only thing that concerns me about Janoris Jenkins is the double move, okay? The double move kind of gets to him, but nevertheless, I think that he can do a really good job at trying to neutralize Justin Jefferson. What the Saints got to do offensively, the Saints cannot be throwing the ball all over the field, all right? The Minnesota Vikings can get pressure. They don't have to send a whole bunch of blitzes. They can get home with their front four. And Drew Brees hasn't had success against the Minnesota Vikings. I think in the game, in a wild card game, he only had 208 yards passing. And I think maybe back in 2018 when they played him in a regular season, he had 120 yards passing. The Saints are going to have to run the football if they want to win against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a game that the offensive line is going to have to step up. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The offensive line has taken a back seat. I don't know what's been going on, but it seems to me like these guys have not been as physical as you expect an offensive line to be. The Saints have got to run the football against the Minnesota Vikings if they have a chance to win this game. Another thing that I feel like the New Orleans Saints are going to have to do, the Saints are going to have to utilize the skills of Taysom Hill. In a wild card game last season, Taysom Hill was able to be that Swiss Army knife, and he was the X factor in the game. So I feel like using Taysom Hill in a passing game, using Taysom Hill, lining them up and doing all kind of different things with Taysom, I feel like that would be an advantage to the Saints. Now, understand that Jameis Winston is still on a COVID list, but you still have Trevor Siemian who you signed. So I feel like the New Orleans Saints need to dress Trevor Siemian and allow Taysom Hill to go out there and play his Swiss Army knife role. Look, you can't be around here playing around. Once again, this game you got to have all hands on deck. Everybody that you can possibly have, pending the fact that they're hurt, you got to have out there in order for you to win this game. You cannot leave anything on the field. You cannot stop at nothing. You have to beat the Minnesota Vikings. You have to go ahead and seal this division. And like I said, using Taysom Hill, I feel like that will be a plus. Another person I feel like needs to step up are the tight ends, okay? We got Kendricks, who's not playing in this game, who is a really good tight end. I mean, a really good linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. The Saints can utilize their tight ends, rather it's Troutman or rather it's Jared Cook. Me personally, I feel like it needs to be Troutman. I don't know what's going on with Jared Cook. I don't know what's going on with him personally, but he has not been the same. I don't know what's going on with him. I said I had my theory about him. I feel like he has some issues dealing with concussions. I think maybe he's having like something going on in his mind, you know what I'm saying, the back of his mind. Maybe he's afraid to go across the middle. It's like he has to psych himself out in order for him to catch a pass. You got to put Adam Troutman out there, man, if he's not doing what he needs to do. I'm talking Jared Cook. But the tight ends can win this matchup against the linebackers. So, and then not to mention, you have Marquez Callaway coming back at the wide receiver position. I like what he does, man. He's a guy that can find the soft spots in the zone. Now, I think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to play man coverage, okay? They're going to play man coverage because they watched the tape of the Kansas City Chiefs, and they seen that the Kansas City Chiefs had success against the Saints wide receivers. You have a lot of guys that were on the practice squad, a lot of guys that were undrafted free agents. So I think they're going to try to mimic or mirror what the Kansas City Chiefs did. I don't think you're going to see a lot of zone, but Marquez Callaway, he's a really smart wide receiver. He can find those soft spots. He can get open, and I think Drew Brees trusts him. And they definitely need Marquez. I'm glad he's coming back because Tre'Quan Smith has been put on IR. And Emmanuel Sanders, to me, who is a really good number 2, I don't think that he is a guy that can win those double team matchups. I mean, he can win his one-on-ones, but when you're double teaming a 175-pound wide receiver, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to find a way to get open, okay? Maybe if they try to take the top off the defense, you get behind a quarterback, he can catch the pass. But as far as him, winning double coverage, I just don't see that happening, man. Marquez Callaway, I feel like he's going to do some things in this game. Also, you got to utilize Alvin Kamara. You got to utilize his strengths. This is one of those games where you got to get the screen game going. The screen game for the New Orleans Saints has not been there for weeks, man. Dealing with Taysom Hill, he's not really good at running the screens. Drew Brees, hopefully him and Alvin Kamara can be on the same page, and hopefully the New Orleans Saints can go ahead out there and try to get the screen game back on deck. But I'm looking at the offensive line. They have got to step up in this game. They got to allow the running backs to find holes. They got to open up holes for the running backs in order for them to try to get the ball down the field. They got to average at least 5 yards a carry. And like I said, you have to be able to neutralize Dalvin Cook. That is the key to victory for the New Orleans Saints in this game. And using Taysom Hill to his strengths, because I think that looking at the Minnesota Vikings and how they are defensively, they are not prepared for a guy who can run and move around in the pocket. They're more this plays to the strengths of the Minnesota Vikings, the type of quarterback that Drew Brees is, a guy that stands in the pocket that's not going to run, that's going to try to look for open receivers. This is one of those games where the Vikings can have a field day. So me personally, I think the Saints are going to have to use Taysom Hill in this game. So dress Trevor Siemian and use Taysom Hill the way that you normally use him when Drew Brees is your quarterback. I don't want to see Drew Brees throwing the football all over the place. I need the defense to start fast. If the Vikings get the ball first, the defense needs to get a 3 and out, and the offense needs to put up their best 15 scripted plays to start this game, rather is for them to drive down the field to get a Will Lutz field goal, or for them to drive down the field to get 7 points. The New Orleans Saints cannot play from behind in this game, because you'll be playing to the strengths of the Minnesota Vikings. Because if the Vikings get 7 points, you mess around, get on the field, get a 3 and out, and they get the ball back, then they're going to try to run the football. They're going to try to wear down the defense. This is one of those games where the Saints have to start fast, rather it's the defense or the offense. I'm looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to seeing if the Saints can actually start fast, because they have a tendency of starting slow and, playing behind the 8 ball. Let's see if they can come through with the energy. Let's see if they can come through with the passion in order for them to try to jump ahead of the Minnesota Vikings, and don't give the Minnesota Vikings hope in this game. They need to get pressure. I don't want to see them trying to blitz Kirk Cousins. I would like to see them try to get pressure the same way that they did with Patrick Mahomes. The thing about the New Orleans Saints is you don't have to blitz. They don't have to blitz. They can actually get home with their front 4. So hopefully they can get home with their front 4 and get to Kirk Cousins, where you can actually have him kind of rattled. And if you do that, then I feel like it's going to be a tough game, because you can mess up the timing of Kirk Cousins and he can find himself throwing the ball, out of bounds, overthrowing some of his receivers, because he gets a little rattled and his receivers get frustrated. And that's exactly what you want, because if those receivers get frustrated, it's going to cause Kirk Cousins to panic. All right. So hopefully the Saints can start off fast. That's what I'm looking for in this game. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the chat here. Thank you all very much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast, making it a part of your Christmas Eve. We're going to start with Demetrius. Demetrius says the Vikings' best corner is banged up. Well, yeah, like I said, at the injury report all we want to, but that doesn't always tell a story, Demetrius. Sometimes, even though guys come off the bench, these guys go out there and they put their best foot forward, man. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they were out there playing with some of their third string offensive linemen, but they still were out there, battling, So these guys are prideful guys, man. These guys are trying to make a living, taking care of their family. So just because their best corner is down doesn't mean that those guys won't try to rise to the occasion. And we don't have our best receivers out there. So I think it's a pretty fair matchup. So, you going up against practice squad guys, that's not even like your first or your second string. You know what I'm saying? Those are guys that you don't even expect to play. These are guys that just basically mimic what the other wide receivers of the team that you're going against is going to do that week. So I think that's a pretty fair game if their star cornerback is out. Time for Adam Troutman. Yeah, I agree, man. I think Adam Troutman has, he has stepped up and he deserves more playing time. Now, I don't know what they see from him on a consistent basis on a Monday through Friday. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they see in him as far as why, they're not having him on the field. But from what I'm seeing him elevate every single week. Every single week he does something that's positive. Every single week you see him stepping up in situations. So hopefully he'll get more snaps because right now something is going on with Jared Cook psychologically, in my opinion. And I think that they need to try to use Adam Troutman because most likely you're not going to bring back Jared Cook and you're going to elevate Adam Troutman to that role because you expect for him to be that pass-catching tight end. I think that the Saints wanted him to step his game up when it comes to the blocking because when he was at Dayton, he was a pass-catching tight end, and he wasn't big on blocking. He blocked, but he wasn't a very strong blocker. And now the Saints seem to have him what they need to be. It seems like to me like they want him to be a much better version of Josh Hill. They expected Josh Hill to step up and elevate his game once Jimmy Graham left, but it never panned out. But he always was a really good, solid blocker. You have a guy like Adam Troutman that can learn how to be a solid blocker. And on top of that, you can actually utilize some of his pass catching skills. So hopefully we can actually start to see him because I really feel like Adam Troutman is confident, man. I think that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers elevated his confidence. When he scored his first touchdown, now it seems like every time he puts the ball, you put the ball in his hands, he can turn 1 yard into about 5 and maybe, a messed up play into maybe like a 2 or 3 yard game. So that's the type of confidence that you want in your young players. You know what I'm saying? You want them to have that type of confidence in themselves in order for them to go out there and perform and believe in themselves. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. So Jameis is back. I don't know if Jameis is back or not, but if he's on a COVID list, I would expect for him he has to be out for at least 2 weeks. I would think. Andy says, who that? I just want the Saints to close out this season already. And Cook seems like he needed that talk with Breeze. Yeah, man, I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully they got it together. I mean, I know it's just in the heat of the moment. I mean, guys, and adrenaline is high. You know what I'm saying? You got that testosterone out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I believe that they got it together, man. I'm pretty sure that they talked it out and they worked it out, which is a good thing. Callaway is active tomorrow. Can't wait. Yeah, Marquez Callaway is a good wide receiver, and he's only going to get better. And I think the Saints really trust him, man. And I think the Saints look at Marquez Callaway as being that receiver that they thought Traquan Smith would be. And Traquan Smith never really panned out to do that. I mean, Traquan is a really good blocker at the wide receiver position, but you're not really getting paid to block, man. I mean, yeah, you get paid to block, but for the most part, you get paid 90% of the time to catch the football. So I think that Marquez is going to end up surpassing Traquan Smith. Breeze feel comfortable with Callaway. Yeah, I agree with that, man. I think he likes him. He's a solid player. The Vikings' best corner is banged up. I already read that. Man, my eyes are itching. Time for Adam Troutman. Yeah, I agree. I already read that. Let me scroll down a little bit. Yo, TJ, how can we stop Cook? Well, this is the thing, man. Like, we got to go back to the basics. We got to go back to the times where we were actually shutting down running backs, not allowing any 100-yard rushes. Look, the guy's going to get his carries. I mean, he's a tough guy, physical guy, but you got to match his physicality. This is one of those games where people like Demario Davis, Marcus Davenport, Cam Jordan is going to have to step up, and especially those guys in the A-gap if he's running running right up the middle, okay? I mean, we need Sheldon Rankins to step up. We need David Amiamata to step up. We need these guys to go back and, rise to the occasion. Right now, it just seems like there's some holes right there. There's some holes that they need to fill, but these guys just need to get physical. I think they did a really good job last week. I mean, for all things considered, I think that those yards by the running backs were a tad bit misconstrued. I mean, the way that the Saints were playing defensively, playing a lot of cover five, you had safeties like all the way back there, you know what I'm saying, to be able to possibly, stay in front of those fast, speedy receivers of the Kansas City Chiefs. So you basically have to count on your front four, you know what I'm saying, and your linebackers to try to stop the run. So if they end up getting out of that from that, if they end up getting past that first level, most likely they'll probably get 2 or 3 extra yards. So they're probably going to average about 5-6 yards a carry because you don't have the safeties that are up there in run support. So I expect the Saints to do things a tad bit different. So I feel like they're going to try to neutralize Dalvin Cook in this game because the offense of the Minnesota Vikings is definitely ran by Dalvin Cook. And if you shut down and neutralize Dalvin Cook, you should be able to have success. No doubt about it. VB Saint lady, thank you very much for the $10. Said Merry Christmas, TJ, and the State of the Saints live stream and podcast watches. Go Saints. Thank you very much for the $10. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you so much for your donation. I really do appreciate it. Josh says Merry Christmas, TJ. Merry Christmas to you, Josh. God bless, my friend. Dalton Winston is active. Okay, well, that's good, Dalton. Thank you so much, man. I mean, I honestly, I have not really been looking at the Saints news today, to be honest with you, man. Just trying to get those last minute Christmas things going, man. As a matter of fact, I'm in a few minutes or immediately following the podcast, I'm actually about to go bake some macaroni and cheese. Really been busy, man, trying to get everything straight, man, for this Christmas holiday. So, I really haven't been following the Saints news. I mean, I kind of looked, trying to breeze past it a tad bit, but, dealing with Paxton on today and stuff like that, man, watching television with him, watching Coco Melon and Lil Baby. So, there you have it. I'll be ripping them. Thank you very much for the $5. Said, I thought the fart protection was lacking against the Eagles. Do you agree? What can we do to step that up? Well, I'll be ripping them. Thank you very much for the $5. But I don't know, man. We just got to get back to the basics. There's a physicality issue going on with the offensive line right now. It seems like teams are being more physical than the offensive line, man. I mean, you look at Teron Armstead, which I feel like, it's understandable, man. I mean, this guy came back, he had COVID, you know what I'm saying? It messes with your breathing, I'm pretty sure it took him some time in order for him to get back, and he probably wasn't 100%. Ryan Ramczyk, he's probably been the most steady thing on the line. Nick Easton has been dealing with concussions, and we all know about Andrews Pete, man. I mean, Andrews Pete, he is what he is, right?
There's only one word to describe you, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. S-A-W-F-T.
Exactly, soft, man. Absolutely soft, man. I mean, and then you have Cesar Ruiz, who is a rookie. Eric McCoy, he's done an okay job, man. I mean, he had a couple games where he didn't do so well, but for the most part, I mean, he's been doing a good job. They just got to get physical, man. They just got to get physical, and hopefully they can get the running game going on tomorrow. The wide receivers need to get separation. Juwan Johnson has 0.5 yards of separation, and the league average is 2 yards. These young guys need to step up. Well, Juwan Johnson isn't a speedy guy, Dill Pickle. He's not that guy that's going to take the top off the defense. Well, I will say this, man. There was a pass that was thrown to him. I must say, man, Drew Brees did not put the ball in front of him. You know what I'm saying? He kind of put the ball behind him. And I feel like that's something that, maybe he probably could have caught. I don't know, man, but you got to be able to win those 50-50 balls, especially when you're as big and as physical as he is, man. You got to win those 50-50 balls. But hopefully these wide receivers step up, man. I like what I see out of Lil Jordan Humphrey. It just something about that, man. Like when guys start catching their touchdowns, anybody that play football know what I'm talking about. If you catch that first touchdown, man, it's like an addiction. You know what I'm saying? It's like you want to catch another touchdown. Like you want to go into the end zone again. You don't want that feeling to go away. And it's like you stop at nothing. You know what I'm saying? You might fight for extra yards. You might try to break off, a tackle just for you to try to get in there. So I think that first touchdown from Lil Jordan Humphries, I think that probably, is probably going to help him out a lot. Hopefully. I mean, I could be wrong, but usually that's the case. Armstead breathing. Thank you very much for the $2. Says COVID messed me up. Yeah, man. I wasn't expecting for him to just come back and just be 100%. I mean, that wasn't realistic, So, I mean, just him being out there is admirable, but I would assume like he's probably going to get better as time goes on. But I think that kind of helped Teron Armstead because we all know around this time of year, he always seems to miss a game or two. So, unfortunately he had COVID, but him missing those 2 weeks actually helped him to kind of rest his body. So, you was able to, get well from COVID, but at the same time, you weren't putting wear and tear on your body for the most part. Who That Cooler Talk says, we're going to have to protect Breeze and give him time to find these guys. Well, look, check this out, man. Like, I don't want the Saints to go out there to try, to throw the ball all over the place. If you think that the New Orleans Saints going to win this football game by Drew Brees throwing the football, you sadly mistaken. I already said it, man. Drew Brees does a horrible job against the Minnesota Vikings. They have his number. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you want to go back to that divisional round, I mean, you have to remember, man, in the first half, I mean, the Vikings were dominated. The Saints had to rally back at the end before that Minneapolis Miracle. Drew Brees threw 2 interceptions in that game. So the Minnesota Vikings technically has Drew Brees' number. I feel like they're going to have to, get the ball out of Drew Brees' hands in order for them to win. Rather it be some quick, some quick 3-step drops or, them running the football or setting up the screens. They're going to have to do something in order for them to get the ball out of Drew Brees' hands. If you're expecting Drew Brees to stand in the pocket and standing strong, then you're wasting your time. Like, if you're looking at – I feel like this. If Drew Brees throw the ball 35, 36 times in this game, the Saints going to lose. That's just the way I feel. If they end up running a football about 25 or 30 times, they're going to win this game. You're not going to win this game if Drew Brees is the primary, the primary source of offense. Not. It's not. Anybody, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Saints ain't going nowhere if you just relying on Drew Brees to go out there and throw the football all over the place. Like, Drew Brees is really, really good. Okay, Drew Brees is about timing. Drew Brees can get the ball where it needs to be, but the days of Drew Brees carrying the Saints offense on his back are over. You know what I'm saying? The Saints need complementary football in order for them to win anything. That's running the football, that's playing good defense, and possibly, setting up some play action passes where Drew Brees can get the ball down the field. Okay, so if you think that Drew Brees is going to go out here and offensive line going to block and he stands strong in the pocket and try to pick apart the Minnesota Vikings defense, you sadly mistaken. That's not how the Saints going to win this game. That's why I say you're going to need some Taysom Hill in this game. You're going to need some running game. You're going to need him on some. You're going to need Taysom on some RPOs. You're going to need Taysom possibly throwing the ball down the field. You're going to have to mix it up a little bit in order for you to beat the Minnesota Vikings because they, standing strong in the pocket, a statue-type quarterback, it basically this basically is what the Minnesota Vikings want. The Saints are going to have to find ways outside of Drew Brees in order for them to win this game. Go back. You ain't even got to believe me. Anybody else that getting mad at me for saying this, go ahead and look at the stats. Go look at Drew Brees' stats over the last 3 times that he played the Minnesota Vikings. Go ahead and watch that, man. Go ahead and look at the stats and see what I'm talking about. Because some people might just think, oh, man, you up here. You just think that Drew Brees can't do it. I'm not saying that Drew Brees can't throw the football. I'm saying that the Minnesota Vikings know how to neutralize Drew Brees. And Drew Brees is the type of quarterback that the Minnesota Vikings like going against. Because Drew Brees is a quarterback that a lot of defenses like going against. Because they don't have to worry about Drew Brees leaving the pocket. They don't have to worry about Drew Brees scrambling around. They don't have to worry about Drew Brees breaking off plays and wide receivers breaking off routes to come back to the football. They ain't got to worry about that. So Minnesota Vikings like that kind of stuff, man. So if the Saints want to win, they're going to have to use something outside of Drew Brees. if you throwing the ball 30 plus times a game, you ain't beating the Minnesota Vikings. That's a fact. Yo, TJ, do you think the Vikings are going to line their DNs in the middle like they did in a playoff game last year? I doubt that, man. Teams tried to do that. At the beginning of the season, and it didn't work. So the Saints kind of fixed that issue. I think it had a lot to do with the fact of Andrews Pete, losing that weight and stuff like that. He's a little bit more faster. And then you have Cesar Ruiz, a young kid who's a little bit more faster than Larry Warford was. So I think they kind of fixed that issue. It's not that big of a deal anymore. But the Saints are going to have to get the ball out of Drew Brees' hands quickly. If you're asking Drew Brees to throw, it got to be a 2 or 3 step drop. You know what I'm saying? It got to be something quick. It got to be something quick, right out of his hands. You know what I'm saying? In order for them to, get the ball in the hands of some of those wide receivers, man, so they can kind of push the ball down the field. Even if it's long drives, 10 to 11 play drives, it's fine. But you got to get the ball out of his hands. Don't think the Vikings not going to bump. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. I mean, Kansas City did the same thing, and they found success. So this is a copycat league. So that other teams are going to try to copy what the Kansas City receivers. Let me see. A full team effort. Thank you very much for the $2. Says y'all going to need me to win from now on. Yeah, that's a fact, man. You're going to have to play complimentary football in order for you to beat anybody. I mean, it's not even just the Minnesota Vikings. It's anybody. We just have to face it, folks. Drew Brees is 41 years old, and he's not able to carry the Saints anymore. He can't. He can't, man. The defense is going to have to step up. The running game going to have to step up. The offensive line going to have to step up. You're going to have to use Taysom, in certain packages and stuff like that. I don't think it was a coincidence before Drew Brees got hurt that you see Taysom in the game. You see Taysom in a game versus the Chargers, right? In a very crucial situation. Sean Payton sent Taysom out there. So Sean Payton is going to try to use different ways to try to help, Drew Brees out. And one thing is with the running game, using Alvin Kamara, using Latavius Murray, the defense stepping up, being physical. That is what's going to win the Saints these games, and hopefully they get to the Super Bowl. And if it gets down to the wire or something like that, and you need a play and you need to, somebody to kind of facilitate your offense to get down the field for a touchdown or a field goal or put yourself in a position to win one of those close games, you have Drew Brees to do that. But for you to just go out there, just think that you're going to throw the ball, from sun up to sundown and think that Drew Brees is going to carry you, man, you're mistaken. Those days are over. Those days are over, Who Dat Nation. We just got to face it. I agree, TJ. We can't win with Brees throwing that much. I'm just saying for our dink and dunk offense, these guys have to be ready to catch quick. Yeah, they can't be dropping passes, man. I think they may have 5 drops last week. You cannot make mistakes versus some of these teams, man. A lot of the times why the Saints lose is because they make these mistakes. They don't take advantage. You know what I'm saying? And you cannot make these type of mistakes going up against good teams. Good teams can hurt you, especially the way the Saints play. If you have a dynamic quarterback that has a really big arm that can extend plays, throw the ball, throw the ball down the field, you probably can put yourself in a position to give a little cushion, maybe a 10-point or 14-point lead on an opposing team. But the Saints don't have that, man. Because of how the Saints offense is constructed, you rarely ever see the Saints blowing teams out. You don't see that. You don't see the Saints blowing teams out. It's always a really close game, almost to the very, very end, the way the offense is constructed. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way that it is, man. So you cannot make mistakes. When you're playing that type of football, you have to limit your mistakes. You You can't be fumbling the football. You can't be dropping passes. You can't be, giving up on big plays. You can't let interceptions fall on the ground because that 1 or 2 plays that you didn't make could cost you the game. Like we seen this with Alex Anzalone. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully this guy's okay. Marcus Williams. We seen it when he dropped the interception. We seen it when these passes were falling on the ground. You know, Traquan Smith, you know what I'm saying, dropped the pass that could have been a possible first down. Like all of these different things, you know what I'm saying, could have, you know, put the Saints into the game. We seen it with the Green Bay Packers, right? The Saints forced the turnover, put the ball in Taysom Hill's hand. He fumbled. The Saints never seen the ball again, and they end up losing to the Green Bay Packers. The Saints, the way they're constructed offensively, they have to have no mistakes in order for them to win games, because you don't have a quarterback with a, you know what I'm saying, with a strong arm or offense that can really just push the ball down the field, like, you know what I'm saying, with explosiveness in order for you to counteract, you know, what somebody else is doing. So you have to play. Glad you said take advantage. The Saints should take advantage of Kendricks being out and run the ball more this game. The Saints should be running the ball anyway, Marcus. You know, but the thing about it is, it's because you start so slow. It's because you start so slow, man. Like if the offense get the ball, it's a 3-and-out. You putting the ball to the Vikings, and or you know what I'm saying. I'm just using them for example because they're playing them. You punt the ball to the Vikings. The Vikings drive down the field, get a field goal or a touchdown. Now you're playing behind the 8-ball. You know, so and now you're playing catch up. And if you end up like going down 10, now you have to push the ball. You got to throw the football in order for you to try to get back into the game. That is what I'm saying. You have to start fast. The Saints have to start fast. Whether it's defensively or offensively, you have to start fast. You have to have your best 15 plays if the offense take the field. That is why I feel that if the Saints win the coin toss, they should take the ball. They shouldn't defer to the defense. They should dictate the pace in this game. Have your best 15 plays available, plays that you are confident in, that you know that they're going to work, that is at least going to get you down the field in order for you to be in field goal range for a possible Will Lutz field goal or a touchdown. That way, if you're up 7-0 or 3-0, it kind of settles the defense down. And if the defense just so happened to get a 3-and-out, then, you know what I'm saying, you would be able to get back on the field and possibly be able to take advantage of that, okay? You got to start fast. The Saints have to start fast, rather defensively or offensively. You cannot play around, man. You cannot play around, joke around, because that is how your game plan gets all messed up. If the Saints go down 10, then the next thing you know, you got to throw the ball all over the place, and you got to completely kind of scrap the running game until you at least get back into the game. And there's no guarantee that you will. I mean, if they get the ball, you go down 17-7 or 17-3. Now you got to throw yourself back into the game. And that is something that you do not want, right? You want to be able to run a football. You want to be able to run a football. You don't want to be behind the 8-ball and not have an opportunity to get your running game going. And that's been going on with the Saints for the past couple weeks. Sports Channel, thank you very much. Said I fart during my podcast. Thank you very much for the $2. Is DJ Swearinger a good safety? Your boy Jay. I think DJ Swearinger is a good safety. He has little issues in coverage and stuff like that, but for the most part, he's a good safety, man. I mean, he has good hands, man. He finds himself around the football. If he's around, he's going to catch an interception, and he's a physical player. You know, I think most of the time, like he will be playing like almost like a down linebacker or something like that, an extra linebacker on the field. But you know, Marcus Williams isn't playing in this game, so DJ Swearinger is up, him and PJ Williams. So they're gonna have to step it up. He skips everyone's question and comments, Josh. Whatever, man. Whatever, dude. I guess I'm skipping it now. Marcus, I'm skipping yours now. Marcus Williams is questionable right now, so we gonna see. I can't. Come on, man. Like if the screen is strolling down like really really fast, like why? Man, stop taking it so personal. Like seriously, man. Like I can't stand when people do stuff like that. Like everything ain't about you, dog. Like it's not like I just don't care about people's comments. If the comments are strolling down the screen, I'm not gonna go all the way back up. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't already pass by, you know what I'm saying? That messes up the flow of the show. If I didn't talked about 3 or 4 different topics already, so why would I have to stroll all the way back up to talk about the first topic that I talked about? So, you know, it is what it is. Whoever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, whoever it is, I can care less, man. If people know how I roll on this show. If you don't, then oh well. You know. Just kidding, TJ. That was actually me. Well, like I said, man, I don't mess up. I don't try to intentionally miss anybody comments. You know, I don't intentionally try to miss anybody comments. Like if I missed your comments, like I said, it's because like the way the screen is flowing. So sometimes like I will pass up a comment probably because that particular topic is, you know what I'm saying, is not being discussed anymore. Or, you know what I'm saying, it just probably just rolled past. But it's never like intentionally. Unless I just see somebody that just being flagrant, disrespecting somebody on here, then I try to pass those up. They need to get out of their feelings. How you feel about the Jenkins and Jefferson matchup? I like that one. I like that one better than I like the Lattimore Thielen matchup. I can tell you that. I can tell you that right now. IB is on 3 different Saints podcasts. I need him to call in one day. Yeah, he definitely is, man. I always see him on different shows and stuff like that. People always talk about him. He don't understand how fast the comments roll. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't like that kind of stuff because it's almost like people just like, man, I don't roll like that, man. I try to see what everybody is saying. I try to see what everybody's saying. I don't do that type of stuff. So don't take it personal if I pass up your comments. TJ, we need wrenches to time trolls out. Well, I don't know, man. Like I said, I invite everybody to be on the show. It don't bother me that, you know, but when people say stuff like I don't care or I don't never read their stuff, like, come on, man. Let's see. Keep the show flowing, TJ. You good. I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the phone lines, take a few questions, get a few comments, man. See what you all have to say. Feel free to chime in. I'm putting the link down in the comments. Feel free to call in. Tell me what you think about this Minnesota Vikings game. Tell me your predictions. But before I start taking calls, I'll just go ahead and tell you what I feel like the score is going to be. I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Saints are going to win this game by a score of 27-23. I think the Saints are going to go ahead and win this game. It wouldn't surprise me if the Minnesota Vikings lead this game, throughout, and the Saints end up, coming back. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It also wouldn't surprise me if the New Orleans Saints lead this game. But if I'm thinking about it, I think the Saints will be leading this game, and then you'll see the Minnesota Vikings kind of see a tie. You might see like a 1-point lead going into halftime by the Saints. But I got the Saints winning 27-23. We got the OG of the State of the Saints podcast, Jerry Porter Jr. Jerry, what's going on, man?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, DJ Jones, the host.
Yes, sir.
Of the State of the Saints podcast.
Hey, man, how you doing, man? Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you, man. I'm doing great, man. And Merry Christmas to everybody that's in the chat. I love each and every one of y'all, and nothing y'all can do about it. The OG loves y'all so freaking much. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, man. We love you too, man. We appreciate you calling in, man. Always coming through with the energy. So what do you think about the Minnesota Vikings game, man? What's your prediction in this Week 16 matchup?
Well, TJ, everything you just said about the breakdowns on this game for Christmas Day, everything you touched on that we really need to do.
Right.
Everything you touched on we need to do.
Mm.
I'm talking about offensively, defensively, and special teams.
Right.
Especially, like we've been saying the whole time, run the football.
Right.
No more of these screen passes that'll work, and none of this other stuff. We need to make big plays to stop this Vikings team from trying to beat us again. Because, like I said before, you never know what the Minnesota Vikings got up their sleeve against us. That's why we got to come out
Right.
on Christmas Day, TJ, and bring everything we got to
Right.
beat them. In order to
Right.
beat them.
Good point. Yeah, we definitely do, man. We got to pull out all the stops, and look, you can't leave no stone left unturned. And I just feel like the New Orleans Saints, they gotta start fast if they're gonna win this football game, man. Because the Minnesota Vikings are like the perfectly constructed team to beat the Saints. You know, the way the Saints play offensively, the Minnesota Vikings are built to try to neutralize the offense like the Saints. So they gotta start fast. They gotta start fast. Like I said,
absolutely.
I know teams like to defer during the coin toss, try to get their defense on the field, but I wouldn't do it in this game. I think the Saints need to start fast and dictate the pace in this game, Jared. I think that's how you're gonna win this football game.
That's right, and that's another thing right there, TJ. I don't understand it. And now you already know we got our division rivals. We got.
Hey, Jared. Hey, I apologize, man. You're going out. Your signal going out. We can't hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we having some technical difficulties with the OG, man. Phone was a little bit muffled there. We're gonna go to the Truth Hurts, and then we'll try to go back to the OG, see what he has to say. The Truth Hurts, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, TJ? How you doing?
How you doing, man? Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas. Thank you for calling in, man. Making me a part of your Christmas Eve, man, here on the State of the Saints podcast. So, what do you think about the game?
Yeah, listening to you, I agree with everything you were saying. We do need to start.
Can you hear me? I think my signal went out with the Truth Hurts. We're gonna go to Cardell. Cardell, how you doing, man?
How you doing, TJ?
And I'm doing okay, man. So how you doing, man? Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too, man. First time calling, man, but I listen to the show all the time. I always watch you guys every day, man. As much as I can catch you, I'm a truck driver, so I'm entertained while I'm driving at the show. Hey, man, I just wanted to say I'm up here in Minneapolis. I'm from New Orleans, born and raised.
Okay.
But I need the Saints to help me shut these boys up. You understand? but I do believe that we're gonna come out victorious, bro. We're gonna win this game 31-20. You understand? I think we can stop Dalvin Cook. Once we stop Dalvin Cook, I think we can put pressure on Kirk Cousins, and I think we could come out with a victory, man. But I'm up here, man, and they like to give it to me, bro. But I got one thing standing over. We beat them to go to the big game, and every time they beat us, they got kicked out of the playoff the next week. So, hey, that's what it is.
Right. Yeah, man. I just want to see them get that victory, man. You know, I just want to. I can care less about all that stuff in the past, man, because it's irrelevant right now from what's in the head of the Saints. But you know, I just want them to get this victory, man, so they can go ahead and seal up this division. Because if you seal up the division, you guaranteed a home game and a wild card. And you know, the way the NFC is constructed right now, you got that 2 seed, and to me, that's not a real bad spot to sit in. You know,
right.
It's not a bad spot, because if somebody was to go up to Lambeau Field, knock off the Green Bay Packers, you would have 3 home games. You know, you would have the wild card, you would have the divisional and the NFC championship in New Orleans. So it's not a bad spot to be in. I understand people want the NFC championship game. I mean, the first round bye for Drew Brees, but Drew Brees been out for about 4 weeks. So, I mean, he done had 4 byes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no
it's
doubt
time to ball out.
Listen, everybody keep talking about Green Bay, man. I'm not scared of Green Bay. Green Bay is not unbeatable. First of all, Kansas City is not even unbeatable. So when I was more excited for the Saints after this loss, believe it or not, than I was for some of the games that we won, because I feel like we can beat any team. Now, if we can be more efficient on the offense, and just think about it, if we recover that fumble in the end zone, we win. We probably win the game anyway. So I'm just encouraged by the team, man. I think we have what it takes to go all the way, and I'm not afraid of Green Bay. I'm not afraid to go to Green Bay, especially in a year where there's no fans in the stands. So I think this is the best opportunity for us, man. But I got to say this is a must-win game in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to leave it up to the last week to win the division and possibly leave it up to the referees or the NFL, because you know and I know that they want Tom Brady to win this division bad. So, you know what I mean? I just think the Saints ought to go ahead, do what they got to do. I mean, I know we're limping into this game again. I don't know if Marcus Williams is going to play or not.
Nah, he's not playing. He's not playing in this game.
If he's not playing, then that's a big loss in our defense, believe it or not. You know, I know a lot of people hate on Marcus Williams and think for some reason think he's trash, but they sadly mistaken. I think you're going to see a bit of a drop off from the deep safety position. So hopefully whoever starts in that position could step up. You know, hopefully it's DJ Swearinger, because I'm not sure if PJ can handle the position. I think PJ kind of slow. He can hit, but he's slow, man. What you think?
Well, I think that's a perfect position for him, because if a cornerback is slow, 9 times out of 10 they move him to safety, especially if they're a good tackler like he is. So
but isn't Marcus Williams like a sideline pretty fast type of DB?
No, he a safety. You can just cover. He can cover a lot of ground, man. I mean, but everybody, you're not gonna really find too many guys that can just cover as much ground as Marcus Williams, and also have the type of hands he has. I mean, this guy can probably go up against some of these wide receivers that the Saints have, as far as his hands is, because that was like one of the first times, like that ball, like, you know what I'm saying, like Patrick Mahomes threw. That was like one of the first passes I ever seen him, like, if it was in his hands, he dropped. Like, I rarely ever see him drop a pass. Like, I've seen him, like, run across the field and jump in front of a receiver and catch an interception. Like, so, but, I mean, most safeties, they're not going to be able to catch the ball like him, and they're not going to cover as much ground. They're not as fast. So, but I think that the New Orleans Saints, I think DJ Swearinger do a good job in this game. I mean, I think he's a dumper. He's a physical guy. And I think he'll be able to, like, whoever plays the tight end position, which I think is Irv Smith Jr., if I'm not mistaken. I think that he'll be able to go ahead and go up against him and do a really good job, man.
Right. I heard someone, I'm going to let you go after this, but I heard someone describe DJ Swearinger as quote unquote old, and kind of sort of washed up. I think I heard them say, as far as, what could possibly replace Marcus if he didn't play in the game, So, and they were saying that's the reason why the Saints would go with PJ Williams instead.
Well, I disagree with that, man. If you go with PJ Williams, it has a lot to do with the chemistry that he has, man. Him understanding the defense a little bit better than DJ does. As far as DJ Swearinger being washed up, I don't believe that. I mean, he's like 29 years old. He had a lot of injuries throughout his career, man, but it's never been to an issue where teams have gotten rid of him because it's his production on the field. It always has something to do with him missing games, and a lot of people may consider him damaged goods. But nevertheless, I mean, everywhere he went, he always did a good job. I mean, I've seen him play on several occasions against the Saints when he was with the Redskins, and he always made plays. So I think DJ Swearinger, I mean, if you want to say that he's not a starter, I mean, that's arguable, But at the end of the day, for him to come in and fill in, I think that he'll do a good job, man.
Right. Well, thanks for taking my call, man. I love the sweatshirt, bro. That sweatshirt is dope, bro.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man.
I watched the shit. I might not call in. You might not ever see me, chatting because I'm driving most of the time. But I'm always watching, bro. I'm always watching. I'll be talking to the phone while I'm driving. But man, it's a great show, man. I really appreciate you for having this platform, bro. And keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Man, thank you so much, man, and thank you for taking the time out, man. I understand you at home right now, because of the holidays. I mean, I appreciate you calling in, man. And anytime you have time, man, you had a pilot or, a TA or something like that, or love, But you can always call in, man. We right here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you take care,
brother. Thanks again, man.
Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas, man. Take it easy, Cardell. All right, man. Yeah, man. Shouts out to all my truck drivers out there, man, that's on the road. And it probably is my connection, man. For those that are trying to call in, it probably is my connection. There's some rain out here in Myrtle Beach right now, and I just heard some thunder. So that might be the reason. So for all the people that's out here on hold right now, I might not a little bit some issues, man. So unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be able to take any more calls tonight because I'm having like little issues and stuff like that, with the connection. So I do apologize for that. For those that are on hold, we're going to do a pregame on tomorrow, getting ready for the Minnesota Vikings game. So feel free to call in on tomorrow, man. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I want to make sure everybody's voice is heard, and I want to make sure they have the best connection possible. So those that are waiting on hold right now, I apologize, but not 9 times out of 10. I won't say 9 times out of 10. We won't be able to take any more phone calls tonight because of the connection. Because I'm about to go ahead and wrap it up, man. So, is this the wrong time for me to come out as trans? Thank you very much for the $2. I appreciate that. Well, live your life, man. Whatever you feel is within yourself. I mean, be true to yourself. Like that's the best advice I can give to you. I'm gonna read a few more comments, then we're gonna get up out of here, folks. I gotta make this macaroni and cheese. What I'm saying? That's a troll, TJ. If we don't beat the Vikings, it's time to hit the panic button. Yeah, it probably is. It probably is. I would say that it is. That hoodie is fire though, TJ. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. Shouts out to my guy E12 coming through. Once again, coming through with the heat right here. For those that don't know, I know the light kind of bright, but that is me on the front of it. It's my logo for my other podcast called the Unapologetic Podcast. So shouts out to my guy E12 coming through with this cool design for your boy. Shouts out to Grind Market out there, man, my guy who makes all my promos. Shouts out to him out there. Check him out on Twitter at Grind Market. Y'all can tell him that TJ sent you. He makes all my logos and designs and stuff like that, man. And my boy E12 always come through with the hoodies and the hats and all that kind of stuff, getting your boy fresh. TJ, Merry Christmas, man. Jason Snags, thank you very much. I'm going to drop the troll phone number. Don't forget the ham. I think that's what my wife going to be doing. I ain't trying to butcher that. My wife is a much better cook than me. Once again, man, tomorrow, feel free to call in, folks. Like I said, I'm having some bad connection right now because it's raining out here. So, Jerry, I do apologize. I got your message. It definitely is me because I've seen like my signal go out in the process of me talking to Cardell. So I don't want to, like I said, disrespect anybody. I want to make sure that people get their voice in. I want to make sure that they, they get their little spiel in. So I'm definitely going to do a pregame. Feel free to call in tomorrow. Give me your prediction scores. If you don't have to tell me tonight, you can tell me tomorrow. You can call in. I'm looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. But thank you very much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Merry Christmas to you. Shouts out to you and your family. May you all be blessed, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and look tomorrow for the pregame show. The State of the Saints podcast will probably kick off like around 1 p.m. About 1 p.m. Eastern time. 1 p.m. Eastern time to get you all ready for the Saints versus Minnesota Vikings game. So come on back. tomorrow. I would love to hear from you. Love to hear the predictions. And you all take care. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Follow yours truly on Twitter at State of Saints. That's at State of Saints. And on Instagram at TJAY Jones_. Till next time, all I got to say is Merry Christmas.